Okay, so I have put this together. I've just recorded it and forgot to press the record button, but let's try again. Okay, so when we walk into this area, a label appears, and when we walk out of this area, the label disappears. Let's start again in order to show you how I accomplished this. Sorry, hiccups. Let's just start base plate. Okay, um, we're going to put a part in. This is going to be our detector. Call it such. You can name it whatever you like, obviously. Okay, that's our area. Let's make it slightly transparent, like so. You can be completely transparent. I just want it so that we can see where it is for testing purposes. We want it to be anchored, and we want the can collide to be off because we want to walk through it. We definitely want can touched on. Okay, so that's that. We should be able to with that. We want a starter GUI. I don't know what your GUI is like, but I'm just going to put a screen GUI in and a frame, and then let's put this frame in the middle. Obviously you'll have yours in a better way, I'm sure. Let's put something in there like a text label just so you can show that things within it appear and disappear as well. So when the frame is then set to not visible, the whole thing disappears. That's all grand. Now starter GUI is replicated into the player whenever the character is loaded. So we want to edit the one in the player, not the one in the starter GUI, because this is like a template. As you'll see, I'll just show you now. Just press play. As you see in players, we go into our player, we go into the player GUI, and here is the screen GUI. This is the one from starter scripts there with our frame and with our text label in it. We don't want to edit this one in the starter GUI because this is just the template. Okay, stop that. Right, now we want to, probably the easiest way to go about this is putting the script into the detector, especially if you've only got one lesson for another day about how to do where to put your scripts and stuff, I suppose. Okay, so let's get the detector. Local detector equals script.parent. Okay, and then we're going to use the touch event. So touched, connect, and we're just going to do an anonymous function straight in line with it, like this. Okay, in this first parameter, the first argument handed to a touch event is the thing that touched it. So we're going to put this as touched part, like so. And then we want to see if a player is the thing that's touching, because this will fire every time anything touches it. But we only care about when it's a player, now, or a character rather. Now inside a character, let's just press play so I can show you this. Here you go. Inside my character, there is always something called a humanoid root part. So we will use that, and there'll only be one of them. So that's cool. This will be very helpful. So we're going to say if touched part dot name is equal to humanoid root part. Don't just do the humanoid, because the humanoid doesn't have a physical presence. It's not a base part, so it won't touch anything. We want to use the humanoid root part because that is a physical part, so to speak. So then at the end, we press enter to put those in. So if it has those things, then we want to change the player thing. Now, obviously, we need to get the player for that. So first of all, let's get the character. Local character is equal to the touched part dot parent, because now we know that this the touched part is a humanoid root part. The parent of it will be the character. Okay, and then we're going to get the player from the character. So for that, we're going to want the player service. So I like to call it like this: players equals game get service players, and then we can use that here. We can say local capital local player is equal to players get player from character. So this is a method we can use on the player service. Player service is just literally this thing here. This players. There are various functions and methods that you can use from each of these services. One of them here is get the player from the character. Very handy. And we just put the character into that. By plugging the character into that, this will return the player associated with that character. In case you've got NPCs or something, we're just going to double check that the player was found, because if you've got an NPC, they'll have a humanoid root part as well, but obviously there won't be an associated player with it. So if player, sorry, then we're going to proceed, and we're going to basically find the this frame, whatever your frame is going to be. So player dot player GUI. Player GUI. As remember I showed you in the players when we started there. So player GUI, and then our one's just called screen GUI, which is the default. Your might be called something different. And dot frame, and then we want the property visible, like so. I'm going to say true. Okay, and that's all good. So if I just run a quick test on that one, that should now make it appear. Bam, and it appears. And the problem is now we need to make it disappear. Okay, stop that there. Okay, so now we're going to do pretty similar to touched. We're going to do detector dot touch ended connect function, and let's put in this parameter going to be the leaving part. Okay, so that's going to be, and then we're going to say if leaving part is equal to the touch part, then we're going to basically do the same thing again, except make it false. Okay. So now we go into it, it appears. We go out of it, it disappears. Into it appears, out of it disappears. But there is a big problem with this. If this is basically creating this connection every single time you enter. So this is, although it looks all fine, this is actually firing to each. So if I've gone into it once, it's firing once. If I go into it twice, now this fires twice every time, and then 3 times, and 4 times, and so on and so forth. And this creates more and more and more connections. So we actually want to be able to disconnect it afterwards. So let's just make a variable. We call whatever you like, but we're going to call it connection, and we're going to assign this connection to our variable called connection, like so. So if I put in connection equals, and then the detector dot, like so. And then within this, we can then disconnect it when we're done with it, like so. And now this should all work hunky-dory and not be causing a massive leak. There we go. And jobs are good. And let me know if there's anything further you wanted to do, how it works.